Welcome to Don't V Lookup. We are here with Connor Rolain from Hexclad. And Connor, just to get started, I'd love for you to answer the question of how you just got here today. What's your background and how did you get to the role that you're in today?
Yeah, man, I got into internet marketing in college. Like a lot of, it's a very entrepreneurial space, right? Because like all you really need is a laptop, and pretty much from there, like you can kind of get into marketing and marketing services. So I was just, one of those kids that was super interesting. So I kind of got into like, internet writing and like Facebook ads in college through some digital marketing internships I did, and kind of just stumbled into it. And then really from there, I kind of self-taught myself Facebook ads in college. I kind of niched down with you could call it, I wasn't thinking of it as like an agency at the time, but in retrospect, it was kind of like a small little agency. We were working with local tourism companies using paid media to drive conversions for them and get people to sign up for their like these local bike tours that you would pedal around on these like 14-person bikes and drink beer and act like an idiot. So I did that for a little bit, and then I was doing that for like 2-3 years, and then I joined this agency called Homestead Studio. They specialize in e-commerce growth marketing, so that's really where I cut my teeth, like deeper into e-com with all things paid media, creative, offers, analytics, landing pages. We were also doing email, SMS. So we got a holistic like e-commerce growth marketing experience there, which in retrospect, I think was huge for me. I think there's a lot of agencies that are very, very niche. Like, hey, we only do design for ads, or we only do email SMS, or we only do media buying. And I think having that more, full service agency experience, like it gave me more of an omni-channel approach, which was really important. And then, after Homestead, I was there for 2.5-3 years. I left and freelanced for a year, and just did my own little one-man growth shop, doing kind of like fractional kind of growth type work, doing media buy, but also just more bigger picture consulting, um, that was awesome too, because all these brands I was working with, like they were doing a lot of things outside of, you know, just paid media and creative and landing pages and like, own media. I was really eager to like kind of dig into that stuff. And they were like, hey, if you want to get involved with CRM, because they know if you want to get involved with influencer marketing, I'm going to say no. So I got to, further my understanding of a lot of other channels do that. And then, I joined Hexclad after that at the beginning of this year, full time. And I had met Hexclad through, my agency experience. So I've been working on the brand for almost 2 years now, but 1 year full time.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's good reminder for all marketers or anyone getting into marketing that you can really do it with just a laptop and start
Yeah.
cutting your teeth and having that curiosity to just like pick up every rock and see what's under it, including
Yeah.
CRO and just kind of cutting your teeth on every single skill set. So that's awesome that you
Well,
got that.
and a lot of people like, they're like, oh, you're friends with a lot of people that you work with. I'm like, yeah, I am. And I think that's because it's such an entrepreneurial space. And I think that like the entrepreneurial personality trait bleeds into like most people that have that personality trait bleeds into like all the assets of their life. So like, the reason the reason you and I became friends is like you and I have, like we're like minded in a lot of ways. We have a lot of similar hobbies and interests, and we view things similar. I feel that way about a lot of people in this space. So it's been very cool because of that. I think there's another space that I could be at. I'd be like, well, I work with a lot of these people, but I'm also like I would hang out with this person even if they
Totally.
were never an e-commerce person.
Yeah. I think Jason, the president of Hexclad, said it really well. It's like an obsessive mindset, or it's just a bunch of really passionate people that are really willing to go deep on
Yeah,
any one topic. So,
yeah.
definitely a commonality there. So, this is obviously a data-driven podcast. I always like to ask the first question is, how data-driven would you say Hexclad is?
Oh God, everything. We're very data driven. I mean, everything we do is based in the unit economics of our business. Like that's the first thing I check on Monday morning. It's the last thing I check on Friday afternoon. Is like, where is our revenue and where's it trending over time? Where's our margin? Where's it trending? Where's our AR? Where's it trending? Where's our CAC? Where's it trending? And ultimately, the reason I care about those metrics is because I know, like, if I know our revenue and our goals exactly where our margin is going to be, like plus or minus 3 percentage points, and that's because marketing teams are so, in lockstep. So like we have a 5x goal this year that is purely based off of the EBITDA margin we want to see on the P&L at the end of the year. So like literally every single decision I make not even weekly, I wouldn't say, because like I will operate under a lower, we've been actually operating under that goal for like 3 months now, knowing that we're going to hit it in the back end of the year, 12-month look back. But like every single decision we make is rooted in that MER goal, which is ultimately rooted in the marketing goal.
Amazing. How do you guys keep that front of mind? Is there like a billboard? Do you guys like have KPIs that kind of like roll up to that 5x? How do you like keep that front of mind and have that as like a North
Yeah.
Star?
I'm constantly hammering that home with my team, right? Like
Yeah.
we now have like directors and managers and some coordinators and different verticals of growth, and I'm constantly reminding folks of like what we're working towards. And that's actually something that I want to do. We really built out the team internally this year. Now heading into 24, I'm thinking about like how can I set goals for, let's just say my director of affiliate, for example, that ladders into our overall like growth goals. So that's something I'm gonna like level up to this year, but like constantly having that we have a daily metrics tracker that gets updated daily. And that is looking at looking at even more of a contribution margin. Right? So that's not only looking at like total sales and spend, but that's also looking at cost of goods, shipping fees, transaction fees, a few other variables that we're taking out of that top line revenue number to even boil it down to a contribution margin. And like everyone knows that's the source of truth. Like within the growth team, if anyone wants to go and see where we're at for the day, the month, the week, the year, it's the daily metrics tracker. Like that's the one, and it's just a spreadsheet that we do it like some automated data pulls from daily. So it would just really having those tools and like reiterating to people like, hey, how are we doing? How's performance? And send them an answer, send them a link to that. So like condition people to like, this is the source of truth. Like at the end of the day, like this is the most important thing for me to be tracking, and it should be the most important for everyone in the growth team to be tracking.
Certainly. Yeah. It's a good reminder to keep that front of mind. So I'm going to put you on the spot. For anyone listening, Connor hasn't heard me ask this question yet, but what is the most transformational data driven decision you've made, and how did you kind of go about getting to that decision? What hypothesis did you make, and what were the results kind of coming out of that?
I would say probably our hero acquisition offer product. I think like us deciding to push that product over all other products has definitely made us a more profitable and faster growing business. Not only do we get the most contribution margin on the first order, but we're also getting the best 12-month and just overall lifetime LTV from that product. Really, for us, I'm a huge fan of evaluating performance from a blended perspective. So if I am trying to understand, like all of our funnels are built around certain offerings that you won't see, at least not in Facebook, for the most part. Maybe there might be a case here and there where that's not the case because we might feel like it's more general, right? Like if it's overviewing a bunch of products, you might drop someone on the homepage. But for the most part, our funnels are built around product offerings. So as it pertains to the 13-piece set and how we overall analyze blended performance in general, I'm always looking at how much did we spend in on like a funnel pushing that offer, divide that by the number of first time orders on that product to back into the CAC. So that's step one is like what's our blended CAC. Then B, I know roughly what our like average cost, like pre-ad costs are. So like for any given product, 13-piece set, for example, I can take that order value, I can multiply it by the product costs, or not just the product cost. This is all costs baked in, right? Content costs. We average it out just so we can avoid the model profitabilities of these things. So multiply by the cost, subtract that from that order value, subtract the blended CAC equals your first order contribution margin. That's step one. Then going into we use a CDP called Decile, and I know like that the 13-piece set also nets us the best 12-month net dollars value, and really that's the approach we take with every single like acquisition offer that we roll out. And I would say that like understanding that 13-piece set from that angle has probably been the biggest unlock for our business because we have scaled that first order. Like, and I say offer, like
Yep.
anything's an offer, right? Like it's not just like pushing like a 100% off. It's like the entire thing is the offer, the product, the price positioning, the value props, it's all the offer. But like having that 13-piece set is our like core scaled offer is it's been a huge unlock for our business. Like when I came into the business beginning of 2022, most of it was very general
Mm.
in terms of like more general value prop ads landing on the homepage. I realized I looked in Shopify and was realizing that the vast majority of folks were buying the 13-piece set. So one
Mm.
of the first things I did in the account was actually pushing the buttons. Was like I just built more funnels around the 13-piece set directly in my in platform performance skyrocketed, and the more we analyzed it, the better it looked. So I think that's probably been the biggest unlock, at least in terms of acquisition this year.
Amazing. And so, for those listening, how did you like? What data did you actually look at to say, hey, like 13-piece set isn't even like on the radar, and then now you're like doubling, tripling down on that?
Yeah.
What data did you look at to actually go from like point A to point B?
Yeah. So initially in 2022, it was like I love looking at the first versus returning customer report in Shopify. It's one of the reports I pull the most. So I was looking at that report and then adding in like a product name filter. It became so abundantly clear that I can't. This is a guess on the percentage, which is a while back, like 85% probably of first time orders on the 13-piece side. So
Mm-hmm.
that was piece number one. Um, Data point number two, so I talked about like pulling blended metrics. All of our names are organized by the product we're pushing. So I can
Mm.
very quickly go into Facebook, search, quote 13 PC, and it's going to aggregate all the spend I'm putting into my 13-piece ads. And then using the same report I just mentioned to understand the number of first time orders of that product. So that's how I get that blended CAC. And then Decile, our CDP that we use, I use that to say, give me all the first time orders that came in on the 13-piece after whatever time range, and tell me the first time order AOV on that, and then also tell me the whatever time window LTV on that, so then I can understand. Well, like I now know my blended CAC, so I need to know first time order AOV to get that contribution margin. And then same idea with like a 12-month contribution margin. So I'd say those are like the core data points. We did the same thing with our pepper grinder recently. Like, like hey, what? Because we don't want to just be a pots and pans brand. We want to be a kitchenware brand. I'm of the
Totally.
belief that yes, it's great. We're always going to try to sell, accessory products to people that are already coming into our brand on cookware for the first order. But I'm of the belief that the only way we're really going to become a kitchenware brand is if we actually start to bring people in on cookware products, right? Like if we can bring people in on the Hexmail, like holy crap, like you got like they know Hexclad has this like pepper grinder brand, like that's how we really become a big kitchenware brand. So it's really the same approach with that. Like we ran some funnels on it just to test it out in Q1, and what I found is that like when I took the AOV and I subtracted out the summarized costs and I subtracted out the blended pack, like were we as profitable on the 13 as we were on the pepper files as the 13-piece set? No. But were we profitable? Yeah. So like that was a huge finding for us is that like we can acquire people profitably on non-cookware products. And so that's going to be a big focus of mine heading into Q1, Q2 is like how can I crack profitable funnels on the pepper grinder or more profitable cutting boards, knives, all of it, right? And then using that same approach of like blended CAC, first order AOV, 12-month LTV, and then like backing into profit contribution margins for those different lenses.
Totally. Yeah. And it makes sense psychologically too. Like, I mean, now that I've got the pepper grinder, the knives, the like, the bowls with the airproof lid on it, and then
Yeah,
obviously the pans, it's like, I think, as soon as you start to invest in your kitchen, it's kind of like a beginning to that journey. And
yeah,
like now I'm like almost like a micro influencer for you guys. Like I was just camping this weekend and
yeah.
whipped out
Let's
the
go.
pan. I had the I had two bowls with like a bunch of like leftovers from the fridge, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, what is that like pan from?" And of course, like
Well,
pushing some
it's very
Hexclad. So
catchy, man. It's very like the marketing's built into the design. Also, like our LTV is going to look way better if we bring someone in on a $200 product than it is if we bring
totally,
someone in on a $700 product. So I think that's another good reason to start acquiring people on these other products. But um, yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of testing. But again, it's like I don't even care. Like if I launch a pepper, like a batch of pepper grinder ads, and the 1 day click ROAS on those pepper grinder ads is 30% lower than like the 1 day click on 13-piece ads. Like, I really don't care as long as like we are the first orders on those pepper grinder products are profitable. And then I'll
totally,
use the in-platform data to optimize, right? Like, okay, well, this ad's at a 0.8x 1 day click pepper grinder, but this other pepper grinder is only at a 0.55. Okay, well, I'm gonna like invest more into that higher 1 day, but it's all relative. Like that's just in platform, like optimizing the ads. Like it could be at a 0.04x 1 day click ROAS, and if the overall funnel from a blended POV is profitable, then it doesn't really matter.
certainly. Awesome. Yeah, going back to that hero product, that 13-piece set. Obviously that's like a big move for you guys to like focus your entire funnel on that. Did you experience any roadblocks internally as you were kind of moving in that direction? And if so, like how did you kind of overcome that?
I mean, not really, because the nice part about our 13-piece set is like we don't need to like call out the 13-piece set in the ad necessarily. We do, and like that worked for
Yep.
us, but I can run an ad that's like very general pop pan value props focus and then just redirect it to the 13-piece set landing page. So
Mm,
and that's like how most of our creative was. Like when we weren't directing people to 13-piece set product pages or landing pages, we were still running these ads that were very cookware oriented and value. So it was really just about creating, post-click experiences that were congruent with what we saw people were organically doing already. And like, it's just a more consolidated approach, right? It's like, all right, should we make someone click on sets, then click on the 13-piece set product page, then click on the cart? Or should we drop someone right on a landing page, pushing the 13-piece set the reader? It's just like, we just figured this out with our product page redesign test. Like if you guys go, if you like, incognito or 13-piece set, you might see a new version of our product page that we saw like 11% lift on. The only difference is like we added collapsible and expandable sections to make a much
mm,
more choose your own journey, much more consolidated approach. It's the same thing here, right? Like it's just like let's get people to the product we already know they want quicker and without going with less friction. So it really wasn't that hard because of that, because we already had the creative for it. The hard part was like building, not even the hard part, just the part that took some time and energy and thought was like, okay, let's build some post-click destinations for this because we want to test product page versus landing page. And what we find actually is that our product page, like landing pages, perform pretty similarly. So we're not one of those brands where it's like we see a huge drop off by dropping someone on a landing page versus a product page, which makes things a little
mm.
bit easier for us. Like even during sale periods, we drop our collection page is our best performing destination, not a landing page, which I like because it's a lot less work for every sale we run. Yeah, it was really just about making that experience more seamless and more to the point.
That makes sense. Cool. I know you and I have talked about data and personalization as well, and just love to kind of hear your perspective on personalization and maybe some examples of how you're using data to drive
Yeah.
that.
So it's something we don't do well enough, in my opinion, yet. But and I think you agree. I think a lot of people agree with this. I think as we hit scale, the way that we like really create a brand moat
Hey
and create
Connor, I
an,
think you cut off there like maybe 20, like right at the beginning
yeah,
of your answer. Do you want to
okay,
just restart?
yeah, yeah.
Thanks, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Good. Okay. I think it's not something we do well enough yet. Um, but it's going to be a big focus of mine in 2024 because I think as we hit scale, and as a lot of brands hit scale, like the way that you can build like a brand mode and start doing things that a lot of brands can't do is like becoming as personalized as possible. So, some of like the ideas I have, I think we've talked about some of this stuff is like up front, whether that's in like the pop-up or whether that's in like the welcome series. Like you can use tools now like Spellbound, like interactive emails to like capture this customer data. Like what kind of food are you eating? Are you eating like proteins? Are you a vegan? Are you a vegetarian? Because I'm not going to show a searing steak to someone that doesn't eat meat. Like they're never going to buy from Hexclad if that's the case. So like I want to figure out ways to capture this information. Like that's one. Like who are you cooking for? Family versus yourself. Like the content we should show to that person is totally different. Like we're all like the 13-piece set is so versatile. You can use it for everything. If you're saying you're cooking for family every day, like we're going to show you a ton of like versatility driven content. Whereas if you're not, we're not going to probably push a 13-piece set on you. We're going to push a starter bundle on you that has like your core pot and pans. So my goal is to like start capturing this information in like the pop-up and in our welcome flow and in like one-off surveys, and then funnel these people into different automations or like even giving them different campaign experiences. Like we're going to find, like I'm sure we'll find like 4 or 5 buckets of things that like really stand out in terms of like commonalities between our core customers. Just give them personalized content that is more unique to them. You know, something we're asking people now is on our post-purchase survey is like, how often are you grilling? How often are you baking? What kind of things are you baking if you are baking? And this is first and foremost for like our product team, right? Like, should we make a new grilling spatula next, or should we go make a cookie sheet? However, like once we roll those products out, like, dude, we're gonna have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses of people that told us they want these things and they're baking 5 times a month or they're growing 3 times a week, right? So like,
Totally.
just like thinking about how can I build qualified people at the end of the day? Like we always send out these teaser campaigns now, and this was an idea I had in the middle of the year. I was like, well, what would the lift be from someone that visited this teaser landing page that's really just like all about the new product, like beautiful imagery, copy that's explaining it and the use cases, sometimes videos even, like a pretty sick video on it. I was like, well, what would the lift be? And we tested when the product went live, we separated that segment out and tested that versus like our evergreen segment that we always send new product drops to. And there's like a massive increase in revenue per recipient from baseline on that list. So it's like constantly thinking of like how can we build like super high intent list of people for a variety of things, and like that's how you do it. Like you filter people, you give people an option to show you what they're interested in, and then you send those people super curated content, and like the performance is always going to be way better on that no matter what. So it's like, but you have to think ahead of time, right? Like you have to be thinking like, what am I going to do down the road that I should be asking someone about now? And that's like the double burner griddle. It's like, okay, well, I know I'm going to sell people this double burner griddle 3 months from now. Well, maybe in the 3 months leading up to it, I send them like 3 different like teaser campaigns, and I know that we're going to get a huge lift from people that engage with that. Same thing with like asking someone if they're cooking for themselves or their family. Same thing if asking someone if they like love steak or if they only eat vegetables. Like we're going to see a lift if we show someone sauteing a bunch of veggies in a wok if they say they're a vegan compared to showing that person. Like it's no brainer. Right? It's very obvious, but like it does require some like forward thinking, like what you're planning to do and like building intent can lead into what you're planning to do.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And I think as you guys continue to acquire more and more customers, the personalization is going to just become like a super key part of that strategy,
Well,
right?
it's a brand moat, man. Like a lot of people aren't thinking because like it takes work and it's complicated. It makes things more convoluted, but like it's like Ridge Wallet. Like no one's doing a Ford Bronco giveaway. No one's doing
Totally.
it. Like and it's
Totally.
like not an easy thing to set up. Like, they've built a total brand moat by doing it. Like, I look at the personalization stuff as the same thing. Like if we could have a different welcome flow for someone that says they're only cooking for themselves versus someone that says they're cooking for their family, like that's a moat that most brands aren't going to do, and it's going to make us stand out in a major way.
Certainly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I know we're bumping up against time. Just for
Yeah.
everyone to try to find you, how can they find you online?
Yeah, I'm just ecom_con, CON on Twitter, or if you could search my name, Connor Rolain. That's where I put most of my like tactical, kind of in the weedsy type, you know, growth marketing information. So yeah, it's the best spot. Shoot me a DM. I was down to jam with it. other smart, talented marketers.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Connor.
Peace. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Bye.